Good evening and welcome to the news roundup for Thursday, the 26th of September. Before we get into the news, please remember to like this video, share your views in the comments, and share the video with your family and friends.
Reach them! Always make sure the message reach them!
Now for the news in detail. Portland businessman Everton Beachstown MacDonald was sentenced to life imprisonment for the 2020 murder of his second wife, Tonya MacDonald. Beachy, who will be 70 years old in a few weeks, must serve 28 years and 11 months before he can become eligible for parole. His co-convict Oscar Barnes was also sentenced to life imprisonment. Barnes is also to serve 28 years and 11 months before he is eligible for parole. The sentences were handed down in the Home Circuit Court this afternoon by Justice Chester Stamp. MacDonald was also sentenced to 4 years and 6 months imprisonment for conspiracy, while 33-year-old Barnes was sentenced to 6 years and 6 months for conspiracy. A 7-member jury on the 6th of March found MacDonald and Barnes guilty of murder and the conspiracy to commit murder. Energy Minister Daryl Vaz says the government will be adopting specific strategies to target communities where energy theft is high. He was speaking in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
At the micro level, the ministry plans to undertake detailed analytical assessment to accurately quantify non-technical losses at the medium voltage feeder level, targeting specific communities with historically high non-technical losses. The data will inform tailored technical solutions specific for each high loss area, allowing for a more precise and effective reduction of electricity theft.
In answering questions raised by opposition spokesman on energy Philip Palwell, Minister Vaz said electricity theft across the island amounts to approximately US $28 million, or roughly 4 billion Jamaican dollars. He revealed that this sum is being passed on to the Jamaica Public Service's 692,000 paying customers. However, he says the government has a plan to reduce this cost to customers.
Our plan is structured among 4 key pillars designed to reduce non-technical losses at the macro level. Empowerment, focusing on providing communities with the tools and resources they need to acquire legal electricity, making it more accessible and affordable for all. Enforcement, strengthening legislation and regulations to effectively deter electricity theft, with an emphasis on improving monitoring and penalties for non-compliance. 3, energy efficiency, encouraging the use of energy-efficient appliances and removing access to inefficient lighting for incandescent bulbs to reduce overall electricity demand. 4, communication, building stronger relationships and trust between key stakeholders with the goal of shifting the culture away from non-payment and illegal usage towards responsible and payment compliance.
Lawmakers are set to summon the nation's utility providers to account for their emergency response plans following the challenges brought on by Hurricane Beryl. This call was made during Wednesday's sitting of Parliament's Infrastructure and Physical Development Committee. Thousands were left without power and telecommunications for more than a month following the passage of the hurricane. Opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson insists that providers of these essential services have much to answer for.
Given the passage of Hurricane Beryl and the impact that it had on the utility providers, I believe the committee should invite the utility providers here for them to provide us with what their emergency contingency plans are in the event of a natural disaster. We saw the problems that existed in particular with JPS, so I believe we should invite JPS, the 2 major telecoms providers, and the National Water Commission to update the Parliament on the measures they have put in place to deal with emergencies when they arise, so that we don't have a situation like we did the last time.
Robinson particularly singled out the Jamaica Public Service Company JPS. He has expressed concerns over the prolonged outages that left many customers in darkness long after Beryl's fury subsided.
JPS is particularly important because water is significantly dependent on JPS, and the telecoms providers are also dependent on JPS. But I believe it's important for all of them to be here and to share with the country what measures they are putting in place. None of us want to deal with another hurricane, but the reality is we live in a hurricane zone, so we know we have to prepare and plan for these things. And I think it is within the remit of this committee to hear from those providers what their plans are. So I'm recommending that that be put as an agenda item, and the clerk could write to them, give them sufficient time to come with their plans and present them here to the committee.
Chairman of the Infrastructure and the Physical Development Committee, Roy Clark, echoed these sentiments. He emphasized the need for smaller utility providers to also be a part of the discussions, given their role in the country's electrical infrastructure.
And I would add also, because in many instances, there's smaller cable contractors. They too need to I don't know if they have an association that somebody would represent all at one meeting. But we need to hear from them also, because they all use JPS pole line. And so often the lines are down, sometimes across the street, sometimes hanging perilously along the roadway, and nobody to speak to on the matter. And so we need to hear from them. How is it that they're going to treat with the situation? It is so untidy.
The Hanover police are getting help from the Major Investigations Division as they probe 3 murders committed in Green Island on Tuesday night. A 61-year-old man was killed in the first incident, followed by a man and a woman a short time later. Unconfirmed reports are that all 3 were employed at a mega construction site in the parish. In the first incident, labourer Melvin Runtings Davis was shot and killed at his house in Harding Hall about 10:30 p.m. According to the police, Davis was at home when he was attacked by armed men who opened gunfire, hitting him in the upper body. Approximately 25 minutes later, a woman and a man were killed at their house. Their relationship was not disclosed. The 2 have been identified as 45-year-old Andre Coley, otherwise called Backhoe, an electrician of Harding Hall, Green Island, and 43-year-old Stacey Williams, otherwise called Sandy, a labourer of Shetwood in the eastern end of the parish. Reports are that around 10:55 p.m, the 2 were at home when men armed with handguns opened fire at them. The police said they are not sure if both incidents are related, but that they actually happened in close proximity and time to each other. Investigations are ongoing. Matthew Hyatt, the attorney representing the family of 80-year-old Daniel Rowe, who was murdered in June last year, says the child's mother, Celine Mason, has resorted to therapy to cope with the death of her daughter. The revelation comes after 32-year-old Keodi Satchel, the woman who abducted and killed Daniel, pleaded guilty to child stealing and murder on Wednesday. Hyatt says the family's grief has worsened with the passing of relatives soon after Daniel. It was a heartbreaking moment. I sat beside her throughout the hearing and tears flowed. It is a different atmosphere when you have the matter hanging over your head. You don't know if this person has done this terrible thing, versus looking at the person in court now admitting to killing your daughter. It is devastating for the entire family, he noted, adding that Mason has also lost her mother and grandmother in recent months. The attorney said Mason has been receiving counseling. Satchel is to be sentenced on the 14th of November. The St. Catherine South police have launched a search for the suspects who attacked and set a man on fire along the Burnham Lodge main road last week. The victim, Patrick Smith, a resident of Old Brayton in Portmore, was reportedly burnt alive by his attackers. Reports are that sometime after 11 a.m. on Friday, Smith was reportedly preaching on a JUTC bus when he was asked to exit the vehicle along the Burnham Lodge main road. Shortly after, the Greater Portmore police responded to reports of a man on fire near the entrance to the Clifton community. On the arrival of the cops, burned remains of a man's body was seen lying on its back with remnants of tires and wood surrounding it. A fire unit from the Waterford Fire Station was called to the scene to carry out cooling down operations. Investigators are probing reports that Smith was beaten and then set ablaze by unknown assailants. A 9-year-old seeking to intervene in a domestic dispute between his parents was admitted to the hospital for treatment after being stabbed in the neck by his father. The details of the horrific incident were shared in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Wednesday when the child's father was arraigned for unlawful wounding. Prosecutors contended that the man is abusive towards his child's mother, and on the 16th of September, there was an altercation between them at their home. The 9-year-old heard the confrontation and went to his parents' room, where he saw his father armed with a knife. Further allegations are that the father was in the process of swinging the knife to stab the woman when the child went in the middle and was stabbed in the neck. He was subsequently taken to the Bustamante Hospital for Children for treatment. He was recently released. How is your son? How is he coping, knowing that his daddy is in lockups? Senior Parish Judge Sansia Burrell quizzed the woman. He does not want to talk about it, the mother responded. Whoa, a lifetime of trauma, the judge added, as the father admitted guilt to the charges. The father, who is in custody, will remain behind bars until November 25th, when he is expected to be sentenced. He was made the subject of a fingerprint order, and a social enquiry report was requested by the judge. The senior jurist also requested a report of the child's ongoing counseling sessions. Members of the St. Andrew South Police Division seized one AK-47 rifle and 4 7.62 rounds of ammunition along McCoy Lane in Kingston on Wednesday. Reports are that about 11:40 a.m., police conducted a snap raid in the area where premises was searched. During the search, the firearm and ammunition were seized. No one was arrested in relation to the seizure. Investigations are ongoing. The Maypen police on Tuesday charged a man for pulling a gun on his mother during an argument at his home in Four Parts. 19-year-old Miguel Grant was charged with assault at common law and possession of a prohibited weapon. A court date is being arranged. Reports are that about 2 p.m. on Sunday, September 22, Grant and his mother were having an argument when he brandished a handgun, pointed it in her direction, and threatened to kill her. His mother then ran out of the house and called the police. Upon arrival of the lawmen, Grant was arrested and placed in custody. He was subsequently charged on Tuesday. A St. Mary taxi operator was charged on Tuesday for the alleged rape of a woman who asked him for a pickup after leaving work. He is 41-year-old Caswell Marsh, otherwise called Dove of Grantstown. Preparations for his court date are on the way. Reports on the Port Maria police are that the woman was leaving work and called Marsh to pick her up. Upon reaching a section of a roadway in Port Maria, Marsh detoured and allegedly sexually assaulted her. Marsh was later apprehended by the police and subsequently charged on Tuesday, September 24th. The St. James vendor, who was charged with breaches of the public food handling regulations, pleaded not guilty when she appeared in court on Wednesday. Denise Adams was the subject of a viral video in which she was seen performing an unhygienic act outside the Charles Gordon Market in St. James. The vendor, who was initially slapped with 6 charges, will now have to answer to 4 breaches of the regulations. She was caught on camera urinating into a plastic container and then transferring the urine into another bottle. Adams operated a stall outside of the market where she reportedly sold the ground provisions. She is scheduled to return to court on the 23rd of October. In business, the Jamaica National Financial Group says it is currently in the advanced stages of an agreement concerning the transfer of ownership of JN General Insurance Company Limited, JNGI, to leading general insurer BCIC. The two companies have agreed on the key terms of the deal and have informed their employees. JN says business continues as normal at all JNGI locations and clients will be unaffected by the pending change. JN says JNGI remains financially strong with solid reinsurance agreements and the company is able to meet its financial obligations. The acquisition is subject to regulatory approval, which the companies have indicated they expect to receive and finalize the agreement in the weeks ahead. In sports, the board of the Jamaica Football Federation has decided to suspend the membership privileges of the parish associations of Trelawney and St. Thomas for failing to comply with a directive of Congress on June 1. This directive was for all parish elections to take place by August 31st. The JFF says the suspension of membership privileges will be in force until the parish have their election and the process is satisfactory to the JFF board. The football governing body says if at the next meeting of the board the elections are still outstanding, then the board will consider further action if necessary. However, they were quick to point out that the election for Trelawney has been set for the 12th of October. And that is it for your news roundup for today. We would appreciate you liking this video, leaving a comment, and sharing the video with your family and friends. Have a good evening and see you next time.